Hello, I'm Luca De Giglio, and this is the Web3 in Travel podcast, where you can learn about crypto, blockchain, and how the new internet will change travel. Today, I will show you how I analyze Web3 in travel projects or Web3 projects in general, because I think this skill is going to be very, very important for many of us in the future. So we're going to have all these new ideas coming up, and many of them are going to propose in some way to participate with our time or with our money by buying tokens or NFTs. So it's really important to be able to discern from the good ones and the bad ones, even if, of course, at the startup level, you never know which ones are good. And there is this counterintuitive aspect of crypto investments or generally crypto projects. Again, it's not always about investing, it's about believing, using, becoming part of it. There's this aspect in which the crazier they sound, the better in a way, which means the most successful crypto projects like Bitcoin or Ethereum did sound crazy at the beginning. And on the other hand, the fallacy is to think that if they sound crazy, it means they're good, which is not true at all. If they sound crazy, very often they're just crazy. So I kind of promised myself at the beginning when I launched this podcast to stay neutral and not to talk too much about specific projects, because it is really easy to, first of all, to get it wrong. See a project, give a certain comment, and then years down the line, you realize that the comment was completely wrong. And also, you can offend people, or you can say things without having read everything. So it's really dangerous to comment on a project. But I'm going to do this today anyway, because I think there's value in doing that. There's value for you as a listener. There may be value for the project itself. And if I tell you honestly, I could be wrong. I'm probably wrong. What I'm trying to do here is to give you an insight on how I personally analyze projects, which doesn't mean how projects should be analyzed in general, just where I am in my journey in learning how to analyze projects. I think there's value for anyone here. I hope this light paper I have in front of me is actually good, so it's going to be a positive one. But if it's not, I'm going to say it as I see it, right? So the project here is called chainfortravel.com. And I had seen it a couple of months ago. I had a quick glance and then I forgot about it. But then I was contacted by the CEO the other day. I said, okay, it's interesting. Please send me something more. He sent me the light paper, which I already had, actually, I realized, but I never really read through. So the CEO name is Ralph Ulsbeck. I asked him actually to have a chat, if possible, so he can tell me a bit more about this. But today I'm doing an episode, and I think it's a good thing to, instead of reading this light paper by myself, reading it with you and see what comes out. The light paper is available on the website. You have to request it, if I'm not wrong. So it's not a secret document I've been given. It's public. And I'm going to go through the light paper, not through the website. The light paper is much more complete. It's 36 pages. So let's start. As I was saying, I haven't really read it, so I'm going to read it basically for the first time now. So there you go. The title is Camino. So actually the project chainfortravel.com, in the slides, the name, the title is Camino, which I think later we find out is actually a blockchain. So it says Camino, and then the world of travel reinvented by Chain4Travel AG. It's a company based in Düsseldorf in Germany, and AG stands for Aktiengesellschaft, which basically means Corporation Limited by Share Ownership. So the shares may be traded on the stock market. So it looks to be a company formation which looks in the long term like big scale, basically. They start by saying, by asking a question, which is, what is Camino? Camino is a blockchain-based ecosystem powered by the Camino token developed by Chain for Travel AG. So Camino is a blockchain-based ecosystem. So it's a blockchain in short. By ecosystem, what they probably mean is blockchain plus applications and other things, I suppose, powered by the Camino token. And any blockchain kind of needs a token. So it makes sense so far. And it's developed by the company Chain for Travel AG. So there we go. Camino is the product. Chain for Travel AG is the company. I keep reading. Camino eliminates the agreement phases effort before undertaking business, nonetheless keeping risk low during the whole process. So I'll go slow at the beginning because I think I need to understand the fundamentals before going ahead. When they say it eliminates the agreement phase effort before undertaking business, it sounds to me, but we will see this probably later in the litepaper, that it's kind of all the terms are out and you decide to make some business with a company in the travel industry and you just accept. It's like protocolizing business agreements in a way. And keeping risk low during the whole process, we will see what they mean by that. Then they say, while offering low transaction costs, Camino decreases blockchain finality to seconds. All right, that's interesting because I think I've never talked about the term blockchain finality. I think it's finality or finality. Let's say finality. It means when the blockchain says something is true, like this Bitcoin belongs to this person, this Ethereum smart contract transaction is not going to change, it basically means that true is going to be true forever. Okay? So let's take Bitcoin, which is easier and slower. When I send a Bitcoin to somebody else, it takes time. It takes between 0 and 10 minutes to be written in the first block. And after it's been written in a block, you may consider this final or not. Because somebody could come and attack Bitcoin and change the last block, which is the cheapest thing they can do. Then 10 minutes later, more or less 10 minutes later, there's 2 blocks. And so your truth is buried below 2 blocks. And then later below 20 blocks and 30 blocks and 50 blocks. By the time it's below 50 blocks, it's too expensive to move. So you may say it's final. So it depends on you. Some company says, yeah, okay, send me the money, send me the Bitcoin for the house. And after 6 confirmations, I consider it final, right? That's finality, is when you consider in a way, the bank transfer to be done and it cannot change anymore. And I say bank transfer as an example in the real world, right? Even if you know that bank transfers are really never final, 2 years later, they could be reversed for any reason. And now Ethereum, for instance, is not that slow. It's about every 14 seconds instead of 10 minutes from Bitcoin, which doesn't mean it's better or worse. There's always trade-offs. So faster means you can do a transaction and get your finality faster because you get a first confirmation after 14 seconds, a second after 30, a third, after 2-3 minutes, you have 6 or 7 confirmations. But 2 or 3 minutes could be a long time if you are doing a payment on some website for travel, for a travel-related product. Maybe you don't want to wait 2-3 minutes. Like when you use credit cards, you need a few seconds. Okay, so of course every blockchain is trying to get this faster. Ethereum itself already has it faster on layer 2s, and it's gonna in their roadmap they're gonna go down to a much faster finality. But at the same time, too quick could be dangerous. But again, let's not go too technical. Let's not be too technical about that at the moment. But yeah, the need is there for the travel industry to have fast finality, and Camino is addressing this issue. And the other issue is transaction costs. You can't pay $5, $10, $20 for a transaction as it happens in Ethereum for most travel-related businesses. And Locktrip, I don't know if you remember about this project. Locktrip has their own blockchain, Hydra, and they are addressing the same issue. They started in 2018 saying Ethereum doesn't scale. We can't have $5, and at the time it was $5 transactions. So they build their own blockchain where the transaction cost is fixed I can't remember now, but maybe 30 cents for sending something or 50 cents of a dollar for a smart contract interaction. So that's another previous travel industry related blockchain or dedicated blockchain, which of course understands that we need to have fast and cheap transactions. That's the point. Then they write, Camino offers a versatile development platform to map and expand travel's current business models and create new travel-related products and ways to interact with travelers. So a versatile development platform, what is this? Basically, it probably means that if you want to develop something in travel on the blockchain, they're going to offer you the right environment and the right tools. Okay, of course, it remains to be seen what tools. Let's see later in the light paper if they talk about them. But the idea is like, okay, you want to build something in travel on the blockchain, use Camino, which is the best place for you. That's the promise, at least. The next sentence is interesting. The Camino blockchain is a decentralized autonomous organization operated, maintained, and governed by the travel industry for the travel industry. So decentralized autonomous organization, a DAO. And that's going to be interesting to see because they say it is a decentralized autonomous organization. And as we know, to call yourself a DAO, you need to have specific characteristics. And we're going to try to see what they mean by that. Now, new paragraph. Why Camino? They say, travel is suffering from a slow innovation pace with decades-old technological platforms. I fully agree with that. Travel is not innovating. Even the big OTAs like Airbnb, which for many of us look like, oh, they really innovated the space. And yes, they really did at the beginning, but they're over 10 years old. And they basically stopped innovating. Look at the last Airbnb biggest thing in the last 10 years. I think Chesky used this word, like the biggest innovation for Airbnb in the last 10 years was basically a new homepage with categories and niches. So why did they stop innovating? Well, they don't need to. They have the market, Airbnb, Booking, and the other OTAs. They own this market. Why would they innovate? They are kind of trying to keep things as they are for as long as possible. That's the main reason. So they don't need to innovate. And the other reason is that you can't really innovate much on Web2 anymore. Everything has been done and it works great from the platform's point of view. Why would you innovate? You don't need to. How to innovate? Well, you can't. The real innovation is adapting to the new internet, Web3. And this goes against their needs. This goes against their business models. So Web3 is completely going to change the business models. So yes, I agree here with the light paper, slow innovation. I keep reading. A myriad of bilateral agreements and the rigidness that comes with the oligopolistic structure created by the aforementioned. Now, I would really appreciate simpler words because this stuff is hard. And you need to simplify it. Of course, it depends on who is your target here. But there's a specific problem in crypto in which projects try to sound clever because they are trying to attract investors. And I would appreciate, tell me exactly what you're doing in simple words because, you need me to understand. And when you make it harder to understand, I go okay, what are they really saying behind the jargon here? Now, that's not a specific criticism of the project. It's a criticism of the way it's presented. But, it seems to be a very corporate project and it probably, it's part of the culture to write in this way. And everybody's been guilty of this. So please, guys, don't take this take it more as a comment in how to write things in the blockchain space for the OGs who are kind of tired to listen to these get pumped words. Just keep it simple and let me understand what's happening here. Let me understand what the innovation you're proposing here. Okay, I don't want to read between the lines. Just give me the lines in the simplest way. then they say modernization is the key factor in disrupting these structures and paving the way for a common travel infrastructure that serves everyone. Yeah, so the idea is that if we modernize, and I assume we go the Web3 in the Web3 direction, this is gonna allow disruption. You cannot have disruption in Web2 anymore, as I said several times. You can't build a better Airbnb today on Web2. You have to do it on Web3. And then at the end, that serves everyone means that, this kind of technology is kind of democratizing, at least in theory, and it's serving not the platforms that are investors, but it's serving also the users. That's what everyone is. Then they go on saying, Camino is a semi-permissionless consortium blockchain that has gathered a tremendous traction and support from key market participants in the travel industry. Red flag. Red flag from the point of view of the decentralized internet. Not red flag from the point of view of a project. Semi-permissionless consortium. There's two different blockchains. So semi-permissionless consortium blockchain. There's two red flags here. It's semi-permissionless. A blockchain in what a blockchain is not semi-permissionless. It is permissionless. Now, that's the maxi point of view, right? At the end of the day, even the permissionless blockchains, like Binance Smart Chain, right? I think now they're renamed to Binance Chain or something. They are a blockchain, they have nodes, they are permissionless, but then the nodes are like 14, and it's for people who know each other, so it's not permissionless at all. If they want to stop a transaction, they're gonna do it, right? So, but semi-permissionless in the declaration could be read as either very honest, at least they say it, right? Or it could be read as like, okay, we are corporate. The corporate culture doesn't really, I was gonna say understand, but like doesn't really want full permissionless. They want to keep control because they come from the company point of view, right? No, we don't know that. I'm just speculating on why they use this word. And then consortium. Consortium is another red flag in crypto because we've been through that. In 2017, 18, 19, consortium blockchains are, as what I just said about the Binance Smart Chain. It's a consortium. It's a few people who say we're going to run the nodes. And when these people have the power to stop the blockchain or censor transactions, so when there's no real permissionless properties, what happens? Well, it's much more efficient. It can be regulated, so it can be compliant. But at the same time, it's less secure for you as a user because everything can work as long as they want it to work. So the other property which remains is the standardization, which is even a very centralized blockchain in travel, which at least is standardized, like everybody can work on the same system rather than having these silos, like your listing in Airbnb doesn't work on Booking.com. You cannot use the same listing. Even if we go ahead in that direction, it's already valuable, probably. But at the same time, if it's semi-permissionless, who is going to trust to put their business on it? It's like the intranet and the internet. So everybody feels very safe in creating a website because nobody can really stop you from doing that. But if the internet was an intranet managed by 10 different companies, well, you would be careful because they could at any time tell you, yeah, we don't like your website, you should change those words. That's where semi-permissionless consortium blockchain is a red flag. It carries a risk for other people from outside to come and play on your garden. It becomes a closed garden. It becomes like the Apple Store or the Play Store from Google, from the Android. They work. They are super secure. They are curated in a way. Okay, for instance, the App Store is much more curated than the Play Store. But you can't really be sure. That's why games like Web3 games they are on the browser. Why are not on the app? Well, because Apple can at any time say you can't be here anymore. So you go on the browser. The browser is on a decentralized, permissionless, non-consortium system, which is the internet. So semi-permissionless consortium blockchain sounds to me friendly to your friends, unfriendly to the others. Like, okay, if I join you and I'm part of what you're doing and the rules are clear and you're not going to change them, great. But if I'm from outside, I'm going to be a bit wary to participate, right? Again, I'm just talking about, I haven't read the light paper yet, so take it as a first reaction to those words. So that has gathered tremendous traction and support from the key market participants in the travel industry. Yeah, we will see this later. I already glanced through there's big names there. So it seems that people are on board, or like important people in the travel industry are on board, but we're going to get to this a bit later. Now they say, this support facilitates the success of Camino as an alternative draft to the oligopolistic hierarchical structure that travel has today. So translated, or at least my interpretation of this is like, okay, instead of having three or four big players, big platforms, we're going to have a wider group of people who give like an environment where we can build stuff on travel. But at the same time, this group of people is not creating a permissionless thing. It's still something permissioned, controlled, probably safer, and we'll see exactly what the trade-offs are later. So that's it. Like, instead of having Booking, Airbnb, and a few other companies, and I always refer to Booking and Airbnb, but these guys are basically travel in general. There's other companies I'm not mentioning here. So instead of having these few big players who control the market, we are fed with them. Let's build something ourselves. But ourselves is a big group of travel industry professionals. It's not like a new internet for travel, in a way, right? Giving the governance power, I'm reading, to the consortium members. So let's say the consortium members are 20 companies. Ensures that I have to make clear what I'm reading, what I'm commenting. Let me read the whole paragraph. Giving the governance power to the consortium members ensures that Camino will always have reasonable transaction fees, fostering the development of new travel products and ancillary and becoming the worldwide operating system of travel. Let me read again. The development of new travel products and ancillaries and becoming the worldwide operating system of travel. So the new concept in this paragraph is the last words, worldwide operating system of travel. And operating system is interesting because operating system is like OS from Microsoft, OS from Apple, or Windows from Microsoft. It's an operating system managed by a company, or in this case by a consortium of companies, which is not a blockchain in the original term, which is not Web3 as an open system, right? So that's where lies a bit the danger for them and for users. Like, you're telling me basically your proposal here is to build an app on your operating system, like to build an app on the App Store. And so my question is, what are the rules? Okay, will you charge me a lot of money because you can? No, it's cheap. Great. Will you change it? No, because there's a governance consortium member. Well, okay, but the members could decide to charge me more. Will you deplatform me? No, we won't, because we are a consortium member, but you can. If you can deplatform me, if you can censor me by saying you can't sell these kind of products, if you can change the fee structure, I'm in the App Store. At this point of the light paper, my mental model for Camino is the App Store, okay? It's not Ethereum or Bitcoin, whatever. It may change as I go on reading, but at the moment, let's use this mental model. Okay, they're building an App Store for the travel industry based on blockchain. So why do you need a blockchain for that? Yeah, that's a good question. Why would you need a blockchain if you're building an App Store? Well, because instead of having Apple deciding, you have a consortium of companies. So instead of having Apple managing the Apple Store, you have 10, 20, 30 companies managing it. Is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? Well, that's where it gets hard. It depends. Having many companies makes it more resilient. You don't need one CEO to wake up in the morning and say, okay, take away all the apps who are doing that kind of thing. Like in the App Store, the App Store could say from tomorrow, anything which is slightly controversial in terms of cultural norms, like not being respectful of minorities, or anything crypto related, or anything selling crypto related stuff as to whatever, charge 30%. I don't know. Apple can do whatever they want in their App Store. And here you need a consortium, you need consensus, right? So the next question is, how do these people reach consensus? Are very, very close group of people who can, they appear from the outside as a consortium, but there's actually one guy calling the shots? We don't know that. Maybe they will tell us later. Another big question is going to be, can I be part of the consortium? Can I become one of the companies? Yes, no, how, who decides? So we're going to check this later. But these are the questions which come out. So we have basically an app store for the travel industry of the future. Chain for Travel, I'm reading, AG, is based in Bar, Switzerland, where regulations on the crypto market are already in place, hence creating a stable environment for the development of Camino. Okay, I had said they are from Germany because in the LinkedIn there was Düsseldorf or something. So Switzerland, okay, makes more sense. Switzerland is a very advanced, has a very advanced crypto framework. I wouldn't go as far as calling it stable. It's certainly more stable and going into the right direction for cryptocurrencies and blockchain in general. So certainly a good choice, if not probably very expensive. I'm curious to see the DAO structure because I don't think Switzerland has legislated DAOs yet. Wyoming did in the United States. I don't think Switzerland has, or maybe they did. I could have missed it. So if you are a DAO, how is your structure? We're gonna see that probably later in the light paper. But yeah, this question is out there now. You're a DAO. Is the DAO registered or Chain for Travel AG? Here it says Chain for Travel AG. So the company is in Switzerland. Great. What about the DAO? We'll see this later. Then we have a page of testimonials. I'm not going to read what they say. It's going to be too long. But we have the CEO of Eurowings. So yeah, Jens Bischoff. Then we have the CEO of Xeni, which I don't know. But I guess I need to read that because it looks they are a payment system. So let me read that. So Sachin Narode from Xeni, Xeni, he says, the travel industry faces unique challenges with inventory distribution. Well, Winding Tree said that a long time ago, so we agree. Payments, yeah, credit cards. Okay, let me read this, sorry. And data transparency across counterparties. Chain for Travel shares Xeni's vision of solving these critical industry problems using blockchain technology. Xeni is excited to provide the payment settlement, decentralized application on the Camino network, and join C4T, Chain for Travel, at the forefront of Web3 innovation in the travel industry. Let me go and see who these guys are. Xeni, give me a second. So their website is basically allowing you to create your own travel, your own OTA, they say, and have bookings there. Nothing about crypto, but then I have Xeni Pay. Let's look that one. So Xeni Pay seems to allow you to accept fiat payments, and then they transform these fiat payments in cryptocurrencies, which go on smart contracts. So they kind of decentralize the settlement or the whatever. With smart contracts and payments, you can make automatic many parts, and then they go back to fiat and they send you fiat. So they abstract away the difficulties of cryptocurrencies while at the same time harnessing the power of smart contracts. But you can't call this decentralized. The moment you touch fiat, it's not decentralized in the sense that, Xeni accepts fiat for you, and then they put it on a cryptocurrency, and then they send you fiat again. And there are points here with fiat which makes it not decentralized. But okay, let me not judge a project after 30 seconds of looking at it. Let me see the other thing they are doing, which is Xenicoin, another website, Xenicoin Travel 3.0. Okay. All right, and I had a look while I was not recording. Basically, they launched, or they were supposed to launch a coin, but I can't find anything about this. There was this initial token sale at the first quarter of 2022, but it may not have happened. Anyway, let's go back to Camino. Then we have Frank Rosenberger, CIO and CEO, Future Markets TUI Group. Then we have Eric Falkensteiner, Chairman of Falkensteiner Mike Keller Tourism Group. Okay, that's it. Okay, page 5 of 36, half an hour has passed. This is going to be long. I probably am going to have to skip a few things. Introduction. The COVID pandemic has caused severe damage to the global travel industry. Let me read it and come back to you. Okay, nothing new. That's the same concept they said at the beginning, a bit more in a long form. Then they have Traveler's Challenge, centralized fragmented supply chain, where they basically point at the fact that in the travel industry today, there's all these APIs trying to talk to each other, right? You have softwares, companies and platforms who talk to each other via APIs, but these APIs are many. So every time you want to talk to someone, you have to interface to that API, integrate it in your system. APIs are limited. It's like imagine you have to send an email to someone, but before doing that, you have to pick up the phone and say, please give me access to your email and give me your code, and then they say, yeah, you can send me maximum 10 emails a month. That's what APIs are for you. Email is a protocol, and what they're saying, we need protocols. Like you can connect to anyone without prior discussion. That would be a great thing for travel. And that's one of the second order effects of blockchains. They standardize how things work. Then they say time to market. Basically, it takes a long time to make an agreement. And by the time you have the agreement, the market has gone maybe somewhere else. So time to market in travel is really horrible. Then they point to the low predictable transaction costs as something which would be valuable, but today is not there. Then stable currency. Let me read that. The Camino blockchain must provide a safe and stable environment for doing business, especially since in travel the trade might be months away from the payment. For the cost of the travel-related service itself, a stable coin should be used to benefit a stable environment. Okay, stable coin. Interesting. Now, I think we discussed stable coins a lot in this podcast. Stable coins are hard because you have to back them up. So you either back them up with dollars, let's say, or euros, whatever. Let's say euros because they are in Europe. And you say, I have 1 million stable coins. You need to have 1 million million euros in the bank. And this bank has to be audited. And auditing is hard because, you can have $1 million whatever, euros today. What about tomorrow? So theoretically, they should be audited every day, which is not possible. So completely audited stablecoins are hard. They can, of course, be done, but they're hard. Algorithmic ones, forget it. Terra demonstrated that algorithmic stablecoins are not there yet. Or DAI. DAI is algorithmic, but is over collateralized. So for every DAI out there, you need every dollar worth of DAI, you need I think $1.6 worth of other stablecoins and Ethereum. So it's very expensive. So if you want to have a stable currency, algorithmic stable currency for $1 million, you need to have in the bank, or basically not in the bank, but in your wallets, more than $1 million stuck there, which you cannot move. In short, stable currency, hard problem, solvable, but hard problem. Unified technological base, which basically means, again, a standard. We don't have a standard today. Let's have a standard. And they say, and I quote, a truly disrupting blockchain solution for the travel industry must offer both the openness for all market participants to provide the product in the best optimal structure, while at the same time offering a common standard to foster the development of the exchange. A common standard part is easy. Well, not easy. You make a common standard and then you convince everybody to use it. That's hard. It's hard to have everybody use your common standard. The first part is hard because you say the openness for all market participants to provide a product. Openness is not semi-permissioned. Openness is open. Openness is permissionless. So here you're saying openness, but what you're actually saying between the lines is openness to anybody we want to be part of it. And that's where how I register this right now in my mental model of this project. And let's see if they clarify it. But for me, when you say semi-permissioned, you can't say at the same time openness. Or semi-openness will be more to the point. The next point is actually very, very smart. Map travel's business models, which means they say today's travel industry has many grown businesses and cash flow models that cannot be abandoned overnight. It's me, sorry. Therefore, it is crucial to do both. Support mapping the non-chain travel business models and foster the creation of new ways to connect travel. Okay, basically you're saying you can't just go in and destroy everything and rebuild it from scratch. We have to kind of allow a transition from the existing models and businesses to the new internet. Okay, so how you do that? You map them. You say, okay, this thing on the blockchain maps to a non-blockchain model, a non-chain model. Interesting, surely hard, is the eternal struggle between saying forget everything else or let's iterate just to bring it, to make it easier. If Bitcoin had said, okay, we need a new monetary model, but we have existing monetary systems, let's work together, Bitcoin would be nowhere. Bitcoin had to completely ignore the existing model and say, we're going to do this from scratch and we're going to build a new system, a new parallel system. Chain for Travel approach is, no, we're not going to do a new system, a completely new system. We're going to try to help the transition. And it's, of course, hard to say what the best thing is. But if blockchains told us something is like, forget the old model, just do a completely new one. Make it 10 times, 100 times better. And basically liquidity, and I use this term loosely, will migrate to the new system because it's better, rather than trying to make both things work at the same time. So personally, I'm for disrupting everything and forgetting the old model because it's broken beyond salvation. But this is my position. It may be wrong. Their position is more accommodating. It may be finally better. Who knows? Next point, a certain degree of privacy. On B2B exchange, some agreements between buyer and seller might be confidential. The Camino blockchain supports such agreements without sacrificing its decentralized nature. That's a bit the problem with blockchains and existing companies. They go like, I'm not going to show to the world everything I'm doing, like my turnover, the number of customers. Imagine an OTA on the blockchain where you can see every single booking, the amount of every booking, the length of every stay. Well, if you come from the mental model of the Web2 world, say, no, this is actually my IP. It's something which gives value to my company, and I'm not going to put it out there. So what they're saying is like, some agreements will stay private without sacrificing the decentralized nature. That's what they promise. How to do that? Well, they'll probably explain it later on or maybe in the future. Today, blockchains are on the way to try solving this problem with ZK systems, ZK rollups, ZK protocols. So if you go back to my episode about ZK protocols, you'll understand what I mean. Another paragraph is security and business continuity. GDPR has pushed the processing of customer data, data warehousing, and data transfers into the spotlight. At the same time, business continuity and disaster recovery are crucial topics in safeguarding IT environments. Here, blockchain technology offers a leverage point to mitigate or even solve those threats to the travel industry infrastructure. Now, again, they're saying what they do it, but they're not explaining here how they do it. What they're saying is like, GDPR tells me that if a customer says cancel everything about me, I should do that, which is, yes, great. I would love as a customer to say, Google, cancel everything about me, or Facebook, please cancel everything about me, but it's really hard. You know about backups? Facebook has backed up data in servers which are basically unreachable, and you can't simply go, you have a backup on your computer, right? You have an external disk, like Time Machine if you have an Apple Mac, right? You can cancel my name in your computer, but then how are you going to cancel my name in all the backups you have? And that's your own little computer with your own hard disk. Facebook goes deep. It's really hard. And they say that this can be solved through blockchain, and I'm interested to know how they plan to do that. This is getting now technical, which is interesting because that's it's a technological kind of answer to the travel industry problems, and they give us here the technological foundation, page 9 of 36. Technological foundation. So in this chapter, what they're basically saying is that the technology they use, the blockchain they use, is Avalanche. I think it's a fork. So they're not using Avalanche, the blockchain, but they're using their software, which is open source. So a fork, basically, like Ethereum has been forked a million times by other chains. Avalanche wasn't a fork of Ethereum, at least I think maybe partially. Let me give you a bit of context for Avalanche. Avalanche is a different blockchain. It came out heavily last year with an airdrop. So people got airdropped a token. I got airdropped a few, I don't remember, hundreds of or thousands of dollars. I used it. I got their tokens. I use their DEXs. I'm still in some pools with them. So I know this. I know this blockchain. I use it. I used to use it. I used it in that period, and I kind of forgot about it. But then some things started to happen in the blockchain space, and namely related to Avalanche, which had had a good a lot of liquidity move there, as it often does when you put money into it. They had raised a few hundred millions, so and part of it went into airdrops. So people moved there, right? Then again, I kind of forgot it. We went to the next blockchain, which was airdropping, and then there's a very interesting a tweet from Zhu Shu or Chu Shu. I don't know his name. He's an investor on the 21st of November 2021, and he says, and I'm going to quote, "Yes, I have abandoned Ethereum despite supporting it in the past. Yes, Ethereum has abandoned its users despite supporting them in the past. The idea of sitting around jerking off, watching the burn, and concocting purity tests while zero newcomers can afford the chain is gross." And if you didn't know what happened behind the scenes, as I didn't, you would wonder, why did I say that? And it turns out that that was actually known, that his company, 3 Arrow Capitals, was one of the investors of Avalanche. And what it was basically doing, it was dumping Ethereum for pumping their token, the AVAX token of the blockchain. That clearly, these are traders, right? So it was basically pumping his bags, and he probably had sold Ethereum already. And this is in the context of the layer 1 wars of last year. And that's important for Camino here, because Camino is coming out as a layer 1 project. And that was not all. So he said this thing, and of course there was a lot of backlash. Many people were for him, many against him, mostly based on what kind of tokens they had. That's how people think in crypto. They don't often think. They look at the money they have, the tokens they have, and whoever says good things about their tokens is good. Whoever says bad things is bad. And but then this year the 3 Arrow Capital completely collapsed. The money they got from lenders was spent in in NFTs and yachts, and they completely collapsed. They are hiding. This guy is hiding, right? So it was a complete one of those crazy. And I talked about this in the last episode. very highly regarded people who like, boom, they fall from paradise and they show what happened behind the scenes. So to say that Avalanche is a layer one project which had this like VC baked project. Now, why do I say that? Because I don't know technically how to judge Avalanche. It is not Bitcoin. It is not Ethereum. It's something much more centralized in the way it came to life. Now, technologically, it could be much better. Who knows? Technologically, the kind of trade-offs they made could be good. So I'm not going to judge that. I'm not going to neither go and study now what's the Avalanche situation, nor tell you if it's better or worse than Ethereum. I always go from the point of view that you have to prove yourself. Has Avalanche proved itself in terms of scalability and the decentralization? I don't think so. Because at the moment, they have less than $3 billion in total value locked. Ethereum has 60. Just Uniswap, which is a protocol, not even a blockchain, so it's supposed to kind of have less total value locked because every protocol has some money into it and all that money goes in the blockchain, right? So Uniswap has doubled an Avalanche in terms of total value locked. MakerDAO is 8 billion, Lido 7, Aave 6. So the Avalanche blockchain stands there with other layer ones like BSC, Tron, Solana, and Polygon in the 1 to 6 billion range, while Ethereum has 60 billion. Just to give you, so it's 10 times, Ethereum is 20 times bigger than Avalanche. That's one data point. It doesn't mean the technology is not good. Maybe it's much better. So when Camino decided to use this technology, they probably made trade-offs based on several factors I can't judge. So it's basically as good as any other from my point of view. Now, the other question will be, why wouldn't you use like something more solid like Ethereum? Too expensive and too slow. Why no layer 2s on Ethereum? Too early, right? But even Avalanche is early in that sense. So again, as a choice, I'm not going to judge it, not knowing exactly the trade-offs and how certain metrics are important for them. So yeah, it's a technology is out there. They're using that. That's what we learned from the paper. I mean, it could have been much worse. Like it could have been they build their own blockchain from scratch and writing completely the code. And this is something you don't do if you want to be like if you want to focus on actually applications on the travel industry. So probably good choice from that point of view. You fork an existing proven protocol, blockchain, and then you go ahead. Now, yeah, there's another thing. Is Avalanche going to be developed in the future as deeply as the Ethereum ecosystem? Well, no blockchain has that kind of mind power behind it, so probably not. But who knows? Things really change quickly in crypto. Now, you have to consider that Avalanche is also EVM compatible. It means it's compatible with Ethereum. So any Ethereum app which decides to be also an Avalanche won't have a hard time. They can just use the same base code and then be compatible. So that's a good thing. Just to remind you, Bitcoin is not like that. Solana is not like that, right? So most chains are EVM compatible because Ethereum has the most activity, the most apps. So if you are compatible with them, you can attract them. If you're not, you have to tell people, rebuild your app for us, on top of us, and that's much harder, of course. The consensus protocol, meaning how and who decides if a block is valid, which basically means how and who decides if the transaction can go through, is based again on Avalanche. They call it the BFT, Byzantine Fault Tolerant Consensus Mechanism. It doesn't matter. What matters here is that they say that each validator of the Camino network validates each of the respective blockchains. So it looks like each validator is running a blockchain. Maybe this is something I'm missing about how Avalanche works. And then they say, as every validator is known, KYC or KYB verified, so know your customer, know your business, and stakes a minimum of CAM, so CAM, the Camino token, I suppose. The Camino blockchain uses proof of stake and authority, POSA, which makes it faster and cheaper. But careful, because if you are KYC or KYB and the legislators decide that you can't do that, they come to you and they say, stop the blockchain, and you will stop the blockchain. This is one of the drawbacks of consortium blockchains where the node operators are known and KYC'd. Of course, coming from the corporate world, this is a no-brainer. We're just gonna do compliant apps, which means that you become an arbiter, a judge of the apps, right? If I do on Ethereum an app which is illegal, Ethereum can't stop me. Okay, let's say that that's the old thing that legal things today were illegal before. It was illegal to be gay. Alan Turing, it's been talked recently, had killed himself because he was gay, right? Now, on Ethereum, I could do an app about gays in the 50s or 60s or 40s, and I could do it, nobody could stop me. On this consensus protocol, I couldn't do it. So innovation goes through illegal things. I could do a long list of things which today we prize, we think are good, and they were illegal in the past, right? The gay example is just one. So on Camino, Camino has to act as a judge, as a moderator, saying, okay, you can't do that app. You can't do it because it's not compliant. Now the question is, compliant where? In 220 different legislations? And maybe the answer is no, just in Switzerland, because we are a Swiss blockchain. Now, are the validators all from Switzerland? Probably not. So is every legislation jurisdiction going to be involved into this? So if something is illegal in France or in, Brazil, but not in Switzerland, can the app be there? What about the content of the app? So you see how this becomes a very centralized and controlled system, which is good in a way, because you want, the App Store. You want something which is moderated without any illegal things, right? At the same time, innovation here is going to have a hard time, or at least harder than on a permissionless system. But the concerning part here is how much work is going to be required by Chain for Travel and every single validator to moderate this and to be sure they're not hosting anything illegal. So do they have an army of lawyers ready for that? What if a Canadian tracker uses the blockchain to make a booking using cryptocurrency, and the Canadian government goes like, no, this person shouldn't be able to use money. We just blocked his bank account. And there's a validator of the Camino blockchain in Canada, and the validator is a big company and says, guys, we have to censor this specific case. And somebody else goes like, why should you censor the poor tracker? And and then you have all these discussions, and maybe, okay, let's play it safe, let's censor it, and then you go again. You have a censoring app, a bit like Airbnb. And are we not back to square one in a way? Probably partially. So it's it kind of opens attack vectors from the jurisdiction, from the legal aspect, which is what every company is already fighting today. So, well, it's just to be considered, right? Next part, decentralized network. Camino is a common, shared, and universal infrastructure for travel that is operated and governed by players in the travel industry. On Camino, the consortium is the union of all validators. Each validator has equal voice in the governance of the Camino platform, the distribution of development incentives, and the usage of the Camino Foundation's token reserve. So there's a certain number of validators, and by what they say here, they all have the same weight. Like, there's not a case in which you have more tokens and you have more power. It's like one vote, one person, one vote, one company, which is a step ahead from the one token, one vote systems, where the more money you have, the more you control. Uh, I wonder what happens if one person is against. So I want to read the majority, how the majority works, or if they need 100% majority consensus. So far, remember, we still don't know how somebody can become part of this network. Like, can I apply and will they vote? What's the threshold? What's the percent which has to be for or against it? So this question stays there. Tokens. Oh, let's go to the token. Camino, CAM, is the native coin of the Camino network. It is used for all transactional processes, including transaction fees, staking, and voting on Camino. Then it's used for, I'm not reading anymore, just synthesizing. It's used for future grants, for airdrops. Remember, airdrops are going to be something, something which stays in the marketing of Web3. There you go, airdrops again. Question about airdrops. Who are you going to airdrop? Probably you're going to need to airdrop KYC people, because otherwise you risk to airdrop money to, let's say, a minor or somebody in a jurisdiction like, I don't know, Iran or Russia, which is gonna bring trouble to you. So probably KYC airdrops coming up. Then they say that they will support stable coins. So I misinterpreted at the beginning when I thought they were going to build their own stablecoin. They're saying they're going to allow stablecoins, existing stablecoins, right? But since it's their own blockchain, where are these coins coming from? Well, they're coming from bridges. It means you will need to bridge your money to the Camino network, which basically means if you have $10,000 in USDC and you want to use them in this new environment, you have to bridge them. So you basically exchange your USDC from, Ethereum to this new blockchain. And now this new coin is managed by these 10, 20, 30 validators. So you're actually exposing yourself to them, because if they censor you, you lose that money too. You go from a permissionless system to a permission system, even with the money using there. You have to remember that. And then they say that they aim to support the central bank digital currencies, CBDC, as soon as they reach a reliable state. At the moment, I think we have the Chinese one. I'm in Thailand right now, and I still have to understand if they have a CDBC. I know that people are paying with QR code. But anyway, CDBCs, I don't remember if we talked about it, but basically is digital money running a wallet, which has nothing to do with cryptocurrencies, because it's not going to be real blockchains. There's going to be databases, but they work in a bit the same way. It's not through your bank account. It's in your wallet. That's a big difference. And personally, I think this is the next step to full-blown fascism, because these CDBC digital currencies are not conceived to kind of make your life easier. They are, in my opinion, but that's my political position here. They are conceived to make your money censorable, meaning that if you have a CDBC money in your wallet and they decide that you cannot spend it on some items, you won't spend it. They decide that it's frozen, it's frozen. They decide that your taxes go out automatically from them, this is going to happen. So it's a push toward total surveillance on the monetary systems, and it's the farthest things you could imagine from Bitcoin, basically. So if you want to be realistic and not ideological, you're going to have to accept them. Because if you accept fiat, and you accept CDBC too, so it's fine from their point of view, for sure. Then they say it is planned to make the Camino token tradable on the centralized and central exchanges. Okay, how you do that? You have your token, you bridge it over to Ethereum, BNB, Gnosis chains, and then you create pools, or you incentivize pool creation, and then people can exchange your Camino token in the other chains. This is the multi-chain approach, which is sensible and most people have. To keep transaction fees low, consortium members have governance power over the amount of transaction costs. This is more a comment about how the blockchain works. Of course, we're talking about transaction fees on the Camino blockchain, not on the token in other blockchains. If you are on Ethereum, the fees are going to be high there. And so basically they say, let's keep the cost low, but there shouldn't be a problem, because if they are a proof of stake and authority consensus mechanism, you can, it doesn't cost money to do transactions. It's like a bit like Polygon or BSC. It costs nothing. You can charge as much as you want. Like BSC, BNB now, they charge, 30 cents of a dollar for a transaction, but the real cost of the transaction is basically zero. So they make a lot of money out of it. Polygon, as another approach, they charge you the real cost, which is 0.00001, which is basically nothing. So a system like this can charge whatever they want, basically, in transaction costs. And I would consider most of it profit, because if it costs you a thousandth of a dollar to do a transaction, and you decide to charge 10 cents, well, you're basically making 10 cents. And this is the profit of the blockchain. It keeps it safe. It helps people, the validators make money and, reinvest it, etc. So it's basically the business of selling block space, which is the layer one trade. What I didn't say before is the layer one wars are over, at least in the general listing layer one chains, right? Now all the war has moved to layer twos. In the future, you're gonna move to ZK's NARCs, and maybe this of Camino is the start of layer ones for specific industries, which is interesting. I think we discussed this before. Another way it could go is the kind of the Cosmos approach, that blockchains which allow you to create blockchains on top of them. Terra did that. So you can go very big without building and keeping your infrastructure up. There's also another way we are trying to scale blockchains. So let's see. Interesting too. So in the next part, they explain how the fees work, and to make it, I'm simplifying here. It works a bit like Ethereum, but the base price doesn't depend on the network congestion, because Ethereum is proof of work. So there's actually electricity cost involved. They basically decide how much. They start from a certain amount, and then if they think it's too cheap, they're gonna vote and make it more expensive. If they think it's too expensive, they're gonna vote and make it cheaper. And here they confirm that to avoid the prioritization of validators, all transaction fees are equally distributed among validators, regardless of their stake. So there's a stake involved. I think it's the first time we read about that, or I missed it. But everybody's going to get the same money. So then they go to explain what happens with the fee. So you make a transaction on the blockchain, you pay a fee. The blockchain gets this fee. It puts away 30% for DApp incentive. So money to incentivize people to build on top of them. 30% to validators, so the blockchain bosses in a way. And 40% is burned, a bit like Ethereum now burns ETH. And here they say that basically the validators get paid mostly to offset the expenses they have in running the nodes. I said it's cheap. It doesn't mean it's free. You need to have some computers running, not doing proof of work, so it's not that expensive, but they're still running. You need somebody to take care of them. At least you have to pay a person to take care of it. So they're gonna get that money back. So the idea is that they don't make money. It's not a profit center, as they say, but it doesn't cost money to them. All right, this is the end of today's episode. I really hope you enjoyed it. For more insights on Web3, follow me on Twitter @tripluca, TRIPLUCA, and see you next time.